Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, and Esoterics, to our 23rd episode of the podcast. I had to think there for a minute.
I just saw James' light flash before his eyes. He was thinking back to the war.
Yeah. It's like that moment on stage whenever, you have that sudden mind blank and you're suddenly going, hang on a minute, what was it? Oh, yes. Yeah.
Good segue, by the way.
I know.
About today,
it is a good segue. However, we have to do our beer first, so it's a premature segue.
Yeah.
But
put that segue on hold.
Just hold it into the corner, and then we'll segue into it. So we're drinking today the Parrot Dog Falcon APA, brewed down there in Wellington. So what are you thinking of the Parrot Dog, Anthony?
I'm actually really enjoying it.
Yeah.
James and I have been talking about this just before,
Yeah.
and it's very citrusy, so there's a bit of a citrus kick in there, which we usually don't like.
No, it's not normally my go-to.
Yeah.
But I was quite curious about it because I've never had the Parrot Dog before. So I thought, why not? We'll do an APA, which is something a little bit different than we've done in a while. We haven't done an APA in a while. No, I'm liking it. I think it's probably a beer that would be really good on a hot afternoon.
Yeah, definitely.
I feel like it's really sort of a warm weather beer. This one rather than last week's beer, which was sort of multi-purpose. I think this is sort of a bit.
It just fills your mouth, doesn't it?
It does.
Citrus, but it doesn't leave a bad aftertaste.
Yeah,
I think it's very clean. It's very neat.
Yeah,
I'm
enjoying it. So
really
thank you, Parrot Dog. So,
thanks, Parrot Dog.
what do you think? The only scale that matters, Anthony. What are you going to give the Parrot Dog this week?
Well, I was actually thinking an 8 before, but I'm going a little bit. I might even go an 8.4.
An 8.4. So you're really enjoying this.
I think best new beer.
Best new beer. Oh, there you go.
Enjoy this.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to go about a 7.5 for this one. So again, not something that I would probably normally drink. Like it wouldn't be my go-to, but really enjoying it.
Maybe I'm being a bit too liberal with the scores.
Nah.
Yeah.
It's scientific accuracy. That's what we're going for here.
That's true.
It's all completely accurate.
Yeah.
Okay, so. Speaking of musicals and speaking about those moments where things flash in front of your eyes, that's what we're going to talk about for What's on Top.
That's what we're going to sing about.
It is. It actually, this whole thing is going to be done in song and interpretive dance.
This is the bottleneck episode.
That's right. So if you are not watching this on YouTube, you should be, because it's full of interpretive dance and that sort of stuff. So there's been a thing going around Facebook, and I was quite tempted. Normally, with these sort of question things that go around Facebook, I'm in no way tempted. Yeah, I'm in no way tempted to answer like the questions or whatever. But this one I was a bit intrigued about, and I thought maybe instead of answering it on Facebook, we could do it on the podcast, and we could talk a little bit about it
in real life.
Because this one's about musicals. Yeah. So seeing as we both hate musicals so much, exactly. I thought we could look at this one. So I've got it here on my phone. So this is a list of questions about various musicals. So things you hate, things you think are overrated, all of that sort of stuff. So we're going to go through, and we're going to attempt to answer these questions. So, okay. First of all, musical you hate.
I hate.
Yes. Musical you hate. So give me a musical you hate.
Hairspray.
Ooh.
This is gonna cause some controversy.
That's a good call. That's a good call.
I don't like it. And I don't know if it just hasn't been done right. Because I tend to be... I think I've talked about this before, but I tend to really struggle with the really... it's going to make me sound really dark, but the real happy musicals.
Happy, clappy musicals.
Yeah, and I feel nothing. Yep. I feel nothing. Because it's so... To me, it feels so artificial and sugary. And, having people dress up in bright pastel colours and having... bright backdrops and things, it just doesn't do it for me. And the problem I had, Hairspray, it was like it dressed up the civil rights like it tried doing the whole civil rights movement thing in just the most ham-fisted way possible.
The problem I have with Hairspray is that like there are some moments in Hairspray that are really good. Like there are some moments, but so much of it is tosh. Yeah, like it's absolute tosh. Mine would be Mamma Mia.
Yes.
Mamma Mia.
You mean Mamma Mia, the hit musical?
Mamma Mia, the smash hit
musical.
musical.
Yeah.
I hate it. I hate everything about it. I hate the story. I hate the contrived nature of it. I hate the ending. Yeah. There is almost no redeeming qualities in my head of Mamma Mia.
The flipper dance.
Again, the flipper dance is cool. That sequence.
That was my favourite bit of being
that sequence. And did
I mention that? I was
and one of the songs by the Fathers, the
Our Last Summer.
Our Last Summer.
That's very good.
That was cool. It's the only two moments in the musical I like. I hate it. I hate it so much.
It's the whole thing of a karaoke musical where they instead of fitting the songs around a storyline, they fit a storyline around songs.
Yeah, we've got to get this song in, so let's come up with a reason.
The whole sly wink to the audience of, you know what's coming. And like, you know, someone will say something like, man, I wish I had more money.
Yeah.
And then they will sing money.
Money, money, money.
Yeah. It's like, oh wow, that was clever.
Yeah. I love like my personal favorite moment of that, because I think it's an incredibly ham-fisted musical, and I think that I mean, I'm not a big fan of the music of ABBA anyway, but my personal favorite is they obviously had to get Super Trooper in there, and so I just love that, like, the story kind of takes a break where they're like, do you remember that one time we used to sing in a band, all three of us? And like they go to this, like for no reason, go to this club one night and sing Super Trooper, and then it's never mentioned again. Like,
until the wedding where they perform it.
But it's just like, I'm just like, it's the most ham-fisted kind of, we've got to get this in, sure. They used to be in a band, and like, so
we lack any kind of joy in our lives.
We do.
We don't, you know. Yeah. I think, and with Mamma Mia as well, it's sort of, it's just incredibly cheesy.
Oh, I hate it. It's got like no redeeming qualities at all. Yeah. And then, you know, I love how they get to the end. Spoilers if you've never seen Mamma Mia, but I love how they get to the end, and they're like, you know, these three people could be my father, but do you know what? Screw it. We'll all just be your father. I'm like, like, I hate it so much. Yeah. I hate it so much. Okay, number 2. Musical you think is overrated.
Overrated?
Yeah. Oh. So not necessarily hate, you just think it's overrated.
I think Cats is overrated. Hugely overrated. I think it's fun, and I think it's a really cool concept.
Yeah.
I think it's really hard because it's not really the show's fault.
Yeah.
I think it's the way it was. It had Andrew Lloyd Webber is incredibly good at marketing his shows.
Yeah.
And I'm actually a big fan of some of his shows. But, Cats, it's okay.
Yeah.
It's not as good as the absolute.
Yeah.
You know, and there's some very average stuff in there. Some very cool moments, though. Like, I mean, Mr. Mistopheles is great. And the train cat number. Cool.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness. I never want to hear Rum Tum Tugger again in my life.
Yeah.
Sleazy, sleazeball
you
cat.
actually slightly pinched my one, because that was going to be my one, too. So I'll change my one. But I agree with you. Cats, I don't get it. No. Like, I just don't get it. Like loosely sort of tying together in a story. Like, I'm just
well, it's a collection of poems. It's a collection of T.S. Eliot's poems. So it doesn't have a cohesive, which again, as you probably picked up, James and I are very, very, very storyline oriented. So like if a show or something doesn't have a strong central storyline, we struggle with it, because you kind of, you know, you get to Act 2 of Cats and you think, wait, why am I invested in these characters again? Like, what am I looking forward to? I mean, like, what is the point? And then you kind of get Memory and Grisabella sort of gets launched up into space, and you kind of like, okay, well, what was the point in what I just saw? It's all very Cats, visually fantastic, if done properly. A great dancing show. It's just never really done anything for me. So when I was thinking about this, I was thinking like overrated. Like, I kind of sat there like a bit like Cats. I thought, you know, it has to be something that's like hugely popular. Yeah. That you know, everybody talks about. That again, it's not necessarily a bad musical, but like whatever. So
my one is West Side Story.
Yes. Oh my goodness.
Hugely overrated as a musical.
Yeah.
Like,
hope you're listening, Richard O'Brien.
It's hugely overrated. I don't like the majority of the music. The music is horrific, and I know Leonard Bernstein did the music, but it's horrific. I don't like. There's no song.
Because Sondheim helped out as well.
Sondheim did the lyrics. Yeah, he was the lyricist. But there's almost no song in there that I'm like, that's a great song. Like, almost none. And it's got some of the worst songs, musicals, like Maria.
If I ever want to annoy Caroline, I just go...
Tonight.
And I do the Forbidden Broadway version.
Oh, yeah. But I again, I hate it. Like, it's just so... I think it's so overrated. And people are sort of like... In musical theatre circles, saying that you don't like West Side Story is kind of being like,
it's quite sacrilege, isn't it?
It's sacrilege. People are like, how can you not like West Side Story? And I'm like, I've never liked it. It's never been a show that's appealed to me.
It's very...
It's.
I mean, the gang warfare is...
naff.
It's very naff. That's perfect.
The whole thing is naff.
Naff.
And it's like, they take a... And I think it's inherently naff because of the music.
Yeah.
Like, I just, again, I sort of... My thing with a musical is I like a musical where generally it has a dark story. Generally, I tend to like darker musicals. It has tunes that you can hum when you come out, and I don't feel that with West Side Story. It's irritating rather than like that was a beautiful moment. That was don't like it.
Some people might find this, just very quickly. Some people might find this quite interesting, but the reason I called out Richard O'Brien. Well, I wasn't calling out, but Richard O'Brien earlier, who some of you may know was the writer of the Rocky Horror Show.
Yeah.
Which is a... I don't care what you think.
Yeah.
It is a absolute landmark of
It's a banger of a musical.
It's an absolutely incredible musical in so many ways. One of the greatest...
Yeah.
cocaine-fueled written
musicals
ever.
Of all time. Yeah.
And we actually saw Richard O'Brien talk about it a while back at a musical theatre conference.
Yeah.
And he discussed his favourite musicals of all time, and they were really surprising.
They were quite weird.
They were quite weird, and West Side Story was his favourite, what he considered the best of all time, which is really odd when someone as sort of eccentric as Richard O'Brien, who produced Rocky Horror, would go with something so sort of normal and safe, I guess. Is
his were all interesting ones. Like it was all interesting ones. Like West Side Story, Oklahoma. I think Carousel. Like just interesting.
Yeah, very normal.
All right. Musical you think is underrated?
This
is harder.
This is a harder one. Yeah. I would say, and I think due to sort of hitting the mainstream, I really thought Hedwig and the Angry Inch.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, I really would have thought that would have broken out more, especially because it had Neil Patrick Harris.
Yeah.
And I thought it was going to blow out, and I think the timing was perfect.
Yeah.
I think it's really underrated simply because it hasn't hit the level of mainstream that it deserves to, really. It's a fantastic show.
Agreed. Agreed.
Would love to do it one day.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it really, it just sort of flew just slightly. I get the feeling it just slightly flew under the radar a little bit and didn't quite.
Do you think also too? Part of that is its subject matter, the fact that it sort of has to do with a transgender woman, and
true.
It's sort of people aren't quite sure how to take it.
I would definitely. I think people read the synopsis then go,
I don't know about that.
But they which is a shame because I think
thoroughly underrated. Music's awesome.
I think you'll actually see this is a mark my words moment. Give it 10, 20 years, it'll become a landmark musical. Yeah. I reckon it's going to be one of those shows that was so ahead of its time that it will pop up.
Oh, I think it's amazing.
I think because it does have quite a devoted cult following, it will only grow, and it deserves to. But really neat story. And
the music was fantastic. The music is fantastic.
So good, just good rock out. You can just rock out.
Yeah.
What do you reckon?
It's funny because yours are also similar to mine. So, musical that I think is underrated is I'm going to go with Frank Wildhorn's Dracula.
Oh, good
is
shout.
a really underrated musical. The music in it is phenomenal, and in general, I think that Frank Wildhorn is an underrated composer of musicals. Like a lot of his musicals don't seem to really smash that Broadway success or whatever, but his music is phenomenal. So,
it is.
like, to me, I would say that it's hugely underrated. I think it's a really cool take on the whole Dracula story. So it doesn't sort of follow the sort of traditional Bram Stoker Dracula story. It's a love story between Dracula and the other woman. I can't remember what it is, but phenomenal. Like some really great moments in it, like really cool, like technical stuff in it, and beautiful music. I think it's really underrated. I think it could be done so well, and think, really
because I mean I've sort of read into it a little bit, and do you think Frank's been a bit of a victim of unfair critical? He's been a bit of a critics punching bag.
I think so,
which I think's really unfair.
Which is it's become. I think it's become a bit. The dumb thing to knock his stuff. Like and he does some phenomenal, like his music is great. He's a great hook writer. Like he writes brilliant hooks, like the love song between Dracula and I can't remember what her name is beautiful. It's one of the most beautiful love songs I think I've heard in a musical. It's phenomenal. Like I really think it is great, and he tends to push the boundaries with what he attempts to do in his musicals and that sort of stuff. I just think it's thoroughly underrated. I think that given some space, given a really great dark design to it and that sort of stuff, I think it could be a huge musical.
Absolutely.
Like I think it'd be amazing.
Good call. Yeah.
Musical that you love.
Musical that I love.
That's a hard one, but musical that you love.
There's a lot that I love. I'm going to be a little bit biased here because I was thinking about this recently, but I'm going to say Blood Brothers.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, because that's a show that's quite close to me. I had the privilege of directing it a couple of years ago. It's so strange to say a couple of years ago. It was a couple of years. In fact, approaching 2 years since it was on stage, but that was a show I always wanted to do, and there's just everything about it was perfect.
Yeah.
In terms of the subject matter, in terms of the script, it has everything. It's got drama, you laugh. It's got great song. It actually has some really good songwriting, which sometimes gets a little bit picked on, I think. But there's some fantastic songwriting. And beautiful songs. And it's all set in like I have a real soft spot for the city of Liverpool, and it's all set in Liverpool in the the 60s, and it's really great. I really like it.
Okay, good shout. Good shout. Musical that I love. It's a hard one because there's so many musicals that I love for very different reasons. But I think a musical that I really love, Cabaret.
Yeah.
I really love Cabaret. I think that it's one of the few musicals that I'd like to do multiple times. Like I've been in it twice. And it's still one that at some stage I'd like to direct. That I love it. I love the dark story. I love the music, and it's great. I love the themes. I love it's one of those really, it can make you feel so uncomfortable at times. I love it as a musical. I think the book's really strong, the music's really strong, the characters are really strong. Musical I love. Okay, musical you cherish. So again, it's a slightly hard one. So not necessarily that you love, that you're like, oh my god, this, but a musical that you cherish. It's something, it's a bit special to you, like a bit kind of like, it might not be like the greatest musical of all time, but it's something that you really cherish.
That's a really interesting one. Trying to think of things a bit different.
Okay. I'll allow you to have more than one here if you want more than one, because I've got two that I'd put in.
Okay, I'll go two.
Yeah.
One, La Cage aux Folles.
Oh, yeah.
And,
good shout.
And I truly do cherish that show. It's phenomenal.
Yeah, it is.
And the other one probably, in terms of, I don't think it's anywhere near one of the greatest musicals all time. Well, I don't know. We'll probably make an argument for it, but Jesus Christ Superstar.
Yeah.
Would be one I cherish, because I think it's just in terms of, I mean, there's a reason why the Bible is one of the most popular stories of all time.
Yes.
And it's just so well done. The music, the feeling you get from it and can build from it, it's just really, emotionally impactful. La Cage, just stunning, beautiful story. Music's fantastic.
Yeah.
Genuinely hair-raising if done properly.
Yeah.
From a technical point of view, especially in choreography, very, very difficult, but when it's pulled off, amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so good.
Yeah.
Okay, I've got two, and mine are reasonably personal ones. So my first is Fiddler on the Roof. I love that. I still think it's probably one of the most perfect musicals written. Like I think it's the story, the music. It's it's such a perfect musical. Like there's almost nothing in there that you go, oh god, that's a bit, Yeah. And I mean, I've done it 3 times. So I've played Tevye 3 times. It's a musical that's very, very dear to me. Really got me going in musical theatre. So yeah, it's one I have a real soft spot for is Fiddler on the Roof. The other one for me would be Evita.
Yes.
And that was because it was my first big musical that I directed. I loved it. I loved it so much. I loved everything about that show. And I have a real soft spot for it. It's very near and dear to me as Evita. Yeah. Okay, again, I will allow you to have 2 to answer this one, because I think this is going to be hard. Musical you could listen to on repeat.
Ooh.
It's another hard one. It's another, because, lots of musicals, there's always that song that you're like, nah, I've got to skip that.
There's always a skippable song.
Yeah. Something, listen to really over and over again.
Yeah. I would probably, I think I have to, simply because it's been something that I've always listened to throughout my life. Probably Les Miserables is probably one of those shows.
Yeah.
The music is absolutely perfect and stunning.
Yeah.
Again, though, I kind of think, once you've heard it once, it's enough.
Yeah.
For now, I'm done with the emotional sort of wall that's the wave it's given me.
And also, like, for me, there's always moments in there that you're like Castle on a Cloud or On My Own or whatever that you're like, skip. But there are some great numbers in there, so I hear you.
Yeah.
Do you have a second, or are you?
I'm thinking probably the Hamilton soundtrack. Yeah. Because it's so good, and every time you listen to it, you hear something different.
Yeah.
Whether it's an inflection or like the lyrics, sort of you pick up on something really clever about the lyrics, or So Hamilton's the other one.
Yeah.
I went through a real phase where I just binged Hamilton for a long time. And I think Producer Caroline did as well. Yeah. Big time. But every song is so special. It's so good. Yeah. Believe the Hype, it's so good. Yeah. It's so good.
So, I actually, funnily enough, I was going to go with Hamilton as well. Because, again, I agree with you. I think the music is phenomenal. So I'll go some slightly different things then. So, musicals that I could listen to on repeat. Hedwig and the Angry Inch. Is a musical. It's just so good. The music in it is just so good. It's so good. I will come back to that time and time again. That musical, and just listen to it over and over and over again. The other musical, I did have another musical in my head that I was going to use for musicals that I could listen to on repeat, and it's kind of disappeared, and I'm hoping it's just going to jump straight back into my head now. The other musical that I could well, you see, the hard thing is there's a few that I could listen to on repeat. The other musical that I could listen to on repeat is Nine.
Yes. Yeah.
Again, phenomenal music in there. I think there's some beautiful, beautiful moments in there. Right. In a very unusual way. It's a wonderful song. Guido's song's awesome. Yeah, love it. Musical you still want to do.
You still want to do.
Yeah. So something that let's go with something you haven't done. So something you haven't done that you still want to do. I knew
I've already said.
So I know.
I've already said La Cage.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Edwin Drood.
Oh yes.
Edwin Drood.
Good.
Phenomenal
good
show.
Again, great music, great show.
Yeah. For those of you who don't know, Edwin Drood was the last unfinished novel by Charles Dickens.
Correct.
And he never finished it.
Yeah.
And this is actually this is referenced heavily throughout the show by the cast.
Yeah.
Because the whole show's set inside a music hall, which is set inside the theatre that you're watching.
Yeah.
You know. And the really neat thing about Edwin Drood is because he never finished it.
Yeah.
There are multiple endings.
Yeah.
About the who the murderer was, who gets murdered, you know, and it's really neat. So there's about 9 different endings, and the audience get to pick which ending they want to see. So every night potentially could be different. Yeah. And it's very well done. It's very clever. The music is stunning. The music is absolutely stunning. The lyrics are phenomenally clever.
Yes.
Very clever.
Yes.
But there's some beautiful songs in there. Some very, very difficult songs. Yeah. But because it's the old musical style, you can do it in a really beautiful way. Yeah.
I'm actually going to go along the same theme.
I think I know what you're going to
say. And this was actually the other musical that I was going to use for a musical that I can listen to on repeat.
Yeah.
Is A Gentleman's Guide to Love and Murder.
Yeah.
I so want to do that show. I so want to do that show. Yeah. I just think it's so funny. It's so clever. The music's brilliant. Again, it's set within sort of a music hall kind of an idea. It's a wonderful show. Wonderful show. I so want to do it. I want to be in it. I want to do it. Yeah.
If you want to see something really cool, watch on YouTube. Watch the Gentleman's Guide.
Yeah.
Tony Awards performance.
Yeah. So good.
Cool. It gives you an idea of what the show's about.
Yeah. Okay. Musical that made you fall in love with musicals.
Well, I see the problem is I grew up in theatre, so I sort of had no choice.
Yeah.
There's been a few shows that really stuck with me.
Yeah.
So I'll just list them off. The shows that really stuck with me were Blood Brothers. I saw that in 2002.
Yeah.
Les Miserables I saw in also the same year, I believe, 2002. Oh goodness, it just came out of my head. Oh, Sweeney Todd.
Yeah.
Was phenomenal. Saw Sweeney Todd.
Yeah.
Again, another fantastic musical I'd love to do one day. Well, more of an operetta, I suppose. But yeah, that's a hard one. Yeah, I think I'd go with those. I'd go with those 3. Those 3 were the ones that really got me stuck in musical theatre. Yeah.
I have a really bizarre one, and I'm going to use this. The temptation would be to say something like Les Mis, because again,
I wanted to avoid using the obvious
my parents had
ones.
Les Mis and Phantom sort of on repeat in the car. So I mean, it really ingrained itself. I probably there's very few musicals I know as well as I know Les Mis.
Yeah.
But actually, bizarrely, and it comes to a very specific moment where I knew that I wanted to do musical theatre. And it was a Napier operatic production, bizarrely.
Okay.
And it because I say bizarrely because I'm like, bizarrely.
Surprised
that it was like, No, it was because I didn't live in Napier, so I'd actually come from out of town, and saw this particular musical. And this musical, I don't even think is a particularly great musical, but it's one I saw. It was at the Municipal Theatre. It was Me and My Girl. It's the first big musical I saw.
Yeah.
Wait,
what year was that?
That 90... It was before Les Mis, from memory. Yeah, it was 94, 90... somewhere around there.
Too. Yeah.
And I could say the 95 Les Mis, which I saw as well, which was phenomenal. But Me and My Girl was the musical that made me do this. And I was actually, shout out to Rob Hickey, who watches these podcasts. Rob Hickey was in it.
By the way, who is the reason why we're doing this on the Facebook?
Rob Hickey was in it. And I was talking to him about this the other day. And, you know, it's always stuck with me whenever I've done a show wherever, and this may sound like a really strange thing to say, but you never know who's in the audience, and you never know who might come along to see your show and be like, that's it. That's what I want to do. And I was saying that to Rob, and I was like, you were part of the reason that I wanted to get into musical theatre in the first place. And I was like, that was really cool.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Love that.
Yeah, My Girl. Maybe I've read it.
Thanks, Rob, for this.
Thanks, Rob.
Thanks a lot. You're responsible.
You're responsible for this. Musical that changed my life.
God.
What is a musical that changed your life? That's a hard one, because, I mean, there's so many definitions of what changed your life. Like, you're so many ways you could take changed your life.
Wow. That's incredibly difficult.
Yeah. Well, if you're having a think, I'll go with...
Yeah, you go first, yeah.
Mine is again a musical that I actually bizarrely really don't like. A musical that changed my life was Joseph and the Technicolor Dreamcoat.
Oh, okay.
And the reason it changed my life is quite simply, it was the very first musical I ever did. It was the very first time I'd ever been on stage in a musical. Before that, I'd kind of looked at plays and stuff and gone, I really wish I could do that. Like, you know, but I don't know that I can learn the lines and all of that sort of stuff. And I ended up playing Joseph and the Technicolor Dreamcoat at school, and that changed my life and was my gradual descent into the mad world
spiral
that is musical theatre.
Yeah.
And here I am, cough many years ago, later, you know, doing on average 3 shows a year. But it changed my life. It absolutely changed my life, that musical. Yeah.
Probably for me was Wizard of Oz. So it was the first show I directed.
Yeah.
It was a youth production.
Yeah.
And because the fact that it just worked.
Yeah.
It just worked, and it was just really wonderful. Incredibly difficult first show. Like, I don't know what I was thinking, because we did the actual full version of Wizard of Oz. So the full all the music from the Royal Shakespeare Company version.
Yeah.
And can I say that? But so it was really great. Very long, very difficult, but it somehow worked. And this was when I was working night shift. I was the psychological aspect of it. We were living at the time like 20 minutes away from Napier, and yet after that came through the other end, being really happy with it, everyone having had a great time, and it kind of being like, I can do this. So that changed my life, because it sort of gave me the confidence to keep going, and it made me realise that I actually really love directing, and that's what I want to do. So
Guilty pleasure. Oh, this is actually harder than any of the rest.
Rent.
Oh, yeah.
Rent's a guilty pleasure for me.
Good shout.
Yeah. Rent.
Why a guilty pleasure?
Because I think I actually I might get some hate about this.
No.
I actually don't think Rent's that good.
No. It isn't.
It's pretty
It's what do you call it? La Boheme, but worse.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Like the opera, for those of you that don't know, Rent is the story of La Boheme, the opera by Puccini. It's just it's AIDS instead of TB. And I hated the ending of it. Hate the ending of Rent.
I want to change the ending.
Mimi has to die. Like, that's
Mimi
the whole
has to
point
die.
of the It's a
kill off
tragedy.
Mimi. And that would make the video
make sense.
At the end
Yes,
so
I
much
know. I've always figured that if I ever directed, that's exactly what I would do. I would just chop that whole last bit where she comes back to life. I would fade it out, and you just have the video after she dies.
Actually, do you know what I just realised?
What?
Have you seen the film Mid-90s? Jonah Hill directed it.
No.
I
want to see it.
Came out last year.
Yeah.
Very, very good.
Yeah.
The ending is massive rip-off of Rent.
Yeah.
I just realised, including the fact that, like, he doesn't die. And, and there's a big video, and it's very, very cool. Great film. Watch it.
Yeah.
It's like Rent, but for the 90s, which it is anyway. But
yeah. There you go.
Yeah. But Rent.
Yeah, no, I kind of agree with that.
Yeah,
I can't.
There's a lot of filler.
There is a lot of filler.
Yeah.
I can't disagree with that one. That's a really good guilty pleasure. Guilty pleasures. Guilty pleasure is really, really hard.
Because I don't believe in guilty pleasures. You either love something you don't have to be guilty about it. I don't care.
No,
I love Robbie Williams.
yeah.
I'm not guilty about it.
I'm kind of the same.
Screw
like
you.
I don't really feel guilty pleasure with a musical. Like you know, sort of being like, I can't let anybody else know that I love this. That I love this musical.
Yeah.
Like every time I think guilty pleasure,
such a middle class thing.
I know. I think it has to be like a guilty pleasure would probably be Saigon, Miss Saigon.
Oh yeah.
It's actually because again, it's sort of there are parts of it that I'm like, oh okay.
Yeah.
Like there are some moments that are really cool. Yeah. So probably a bit of a guilty pleasure would be Miss Saigon.
I've actually come to appreciate Miss Saigon more and more as I get older.
Yeah.
There is some throwaway crap in there.
Oh, there is. You know, American Dream is awful. But like there's some great.
Heaters on in Saigon.
Oh yeah.
No,
yeah.
But there's some really great stuff in there.
Yeah.
Very difficult musical.
Potentially another guilty pleasure would be chess. Like I actually really like some of the music in there. I think the story's awful. I think the show's awful. I think
I hate chess.
I think actually some of the music is really cool. It's really cool, and I can understand why it keeps getting revived, even though it bombs every time it gets revived. But I can understand the appeal to revive it because it's one of those musicals that I mean Tim Rice has come out and said it's not finished. Do whatever you want with it.
That's right.
Like it's not finished.
Shows great confidence in his own work.
But I kind of get it. Like it's a musical that feels like it should be there. Like just some kind of tweak somewhere is gonna make it work, and it never quite does.
Chess is fundamentally bad because it doesn't actually follow or address what would make that show really great.
Correct.
And the thing about it manages to take if you read a synopsis, it's a Cold War dynamic between two warring chess champions. You could do something so amazing with that script. It never does. In fact, the chess battles themselves are usually just so poorly. And actually, it's so lazy. It's lazy script writing because the whole show is a love story. But it's sort of wrapped around it.
Sort of multiple love stories. And it's sort of like it never quite gets there. Like I think
the focus of the story is it's awful.
But the way to make it work would be fundamentally rewrite the script. But like actually some of the music is phenomenal. Some of the music is really, really good. Okay, last one. Musical you should have seen by now but haven't. What's a musical you should have seen? So
I've seen a lot,
let's go. I don't know. Can we go live here? Maybe
I think
we go live
because I've seen a lot. Online,
you see a lot online. So what's a musical you should have seen by now but you haven't seen?
Well, I know everything about it. I've seen the film. But Fiddler on the Roof would come into that category.
Oh yeah.
That's one I need to see. Again, I mean, I need to see Hamilton, but I can't. I have seen it.
Yeah.
But I have seen it. There's no. I can't think of any really big musicals or significant musicals that I haven't seen.
Yeah.
To my head.
I'm gonna come up with a chunk of things I probably should have seen but haven't seen. By now. My Fair Lady.
Really? Interesting.
My Fair Lady, South Pacific, Carousel, like all of those big, sort of a lot of those big old school musicals.
I tend to not like them,
no, I don't either, and I've never sort of gone out of my way to be like, let's go and see a
I don't care for
version
post-war optimism.
No.
I don't care for the fact that you're all happy now, that you're all wealthy, and
yeah, but I mean, they're musicals that, it's one of those things that people are always like, like it's just assumed you've seen
Annie,
all
get
of
your
this
gun.
stuff. Annie, get your gun. That sort of stuff, like just
Salad Days
stuff. I have actually seen Salad Days,
which is actually great. Salad Days is actually really good.
Salad Days is one of those really bizarre shows that it's so campy that actually the only way you could do Salad Days now and get away with it would be to lean into that and just make it so over the top and be so self-aware of the fact that it's like a really campy musical about a magic piano, because there's no way you could do it without trying to treat it seriously, and it obviously was done seriously back in the day. Aren't there aliens in it as well? I think from memory, I mean, it's a musical about a magical piano with aliens. It is
perfect.
Yeah. Haven't seen it.
It's perfect.
So that's probably my go-tos for things I probably should have seen, but just haven't. I've just never been really that fussed on actually seeing.
Good shout. Yeah, good shout.
No clue. Okay, well that kind of.
We should probably wrap that up.
Yeah, that brings
quite a chunky section, isn't it?
It is, but it's. I think it was interesting. Some of those are really hard. Like some of them are easy.
Yeah, they are really.
But
difficult.
some of them were really hard, really hard to answer, because there are so many things that or so many reasons you can like or cherish something or whatever that doesn't necessarily comment on its intrinsic value. So and again, when we were talking about the guilty pleasure thing, don't ever feel guilty for liking something. If you like something, like it and be proud of the fact that you like it. In the same way, if you dislike something, I don't think you should ever mock somebody for disliking something. Like, again, as I said, talking about West Side Story, neither Ant nor I feel very much love for West Side Story. And again, in musical theatre circles, it's sort of like sacrilege to not like this musical. And I'm like, but why? Like, I'm allowed to not like it. It's just it just never has done anything for me.
I suppose because I get a lot of hate from people sometimes. I don't care. But they're like, it's the hipster or whatever when it comes to music and stuff. Yeah. But I've always been very open about I openly will say I just like what I like. Yeah. I'm like I love Kylie Minogue. I don't care. I literally don't care. If I like it, I like it. Yeah, Don't ever feel like you have to fit some sort of weird sort of. Yeah. Don't pigeonhole yourself. And guilty pleasures aren't a thing. It's not a thing. No. There's no such thing as having a guilty pleasure. You either like it or you don't. Yeah. Who cares? Who cares? You're not trying to fit a brand or a model.
Oh, look, it's like
what you like. Who cares?
I quite like a bit of 21 Pilots.
Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly. It's
yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Exactly.
Cool. All right, so that brings an end to what's on top section. Cool. So moving right along into Uncanny Valley. So I've got a couple of articles here for us this week on Uncanny Valley. It's been a bit of an interesting week in news. There's not that much weird stuff, although I did manage to, trolling through the internet, find a couple of things I found a little bit interesting. So we're going to go for two articles today. So the first article we're going to go with comes to us from the UK.
What's the news source?
The news source is the Metro. Mm-hmm. So that great reliable news source.
Okay.
So
it'll be good then.
The title of this article is "People are putting cannabis up their bums and vaginas to have better sex." So, here in the UK, most cannabis users eat, smoke, or vaporize weed to get high. But in the US states, where it's now legal, a very different method of using weed is emerging. Marijuana is slowly shedding its image as a drug used by munchy-crazed potheads and becoming a medicine for people suffering from chronic pain and even a wellness product believed to enhance healthy living. In California, though, good old California, people are placing cannabis-based products inside their bums and vaginas to enhance sex or tackle soreness caused by medical conditions. So I get the tackling soreness, from medical conditions, but yeah. We spoke to a company called Foria, which makes the world's first cannabis suppository, as well as women who have used weed to help overcome a history of sexual trauma and discover the joy of sex and sensuality.
So that's cool.
That's a good idea. Mm. These cannabis advocates told us they're putting weed in unexpected places. can have remarkable effects. So, it's not the usual method of delivery, says Matthew Gerson, CEO of Foria, whilst discussing his cannabis suppositories. So it's been quite challenging for us to present our product to a general consumer audience. Before getting involved in the cannabis space, Gerson was involved in the adult industry, where he worked on the manufacture of condoms. California for you. He became aware of a major gap between the number of pleasure products aimed at men and women, before starting to investigate the potential health benefits of weed. First, his firm released a sex oil infused with large doses of THC, the active ingredient in cannabis, which can only be sold in states where weed is legal. After this, he made CBD products, which could be sold across the world, and then 2 different suppositories designed for anal and vaginal insertion. We had people from the EU flying to the US to try our products, he adds. These were people who were having difficulty with intimacy and painful penetration, who then reported their first pain-free sex for many years, which is great. You kind of go,
yeah,
cool.
That's great.
That's a really good use for this. It was transformative for them and drives our work in this space. I think that's really cool. And the same thing with the next, but the entrepreneur claims weed can act as a powerful painkiller, helping with endometriosis, menstrual cramps, or ovarian cysts, as well as boosting sexual and sensual enhancement. So I think using it as a painkiller, cool. It's great. Obviously, It's good that they found Men in homosexual relationships are also using the suppositories anally for the sake of pleasure exploration.
Okay.
Yep. We hold a lot of tension in the anal sphincter, and this can cause back pain and other issues, he says. The products represent a high dose of THC, but will not get you high unless eaten during oral sex after being inserted. Why you'd want to be doing that, I don't know. If you take cannabis vaginally, it's not going through the liver, and most women do not report feeling any kind of psychoactivity, he added. The same applies when it's taken rectally, which is good news for people who are more interested in the analgesic benefits rather than being in an altered state. It's a way to build a relationship with the plant.
Wait, what?
I've often felt that if I need to build a relationship with the plant, I should stick it up my bum.
Yeah.
However, if you eat our lubricant, you will get high. And if you eat the suppository, you will get very high.
Well, fantastic. That's great.
You might think that whopping weed up your hoo-ha is peak California, but the use of the herb in similar ways is a long and storied history. Apparently, it was used in obstetrics and gynecology back to almost 3,000 years ago. Ancient Egyptians ground it up with honey before placing it in the vagina or rectum, he wrote.
Did they?
Apparently so. Islamic doctors mixed it with herbs to treat migraine, calm uterus pains, prevent miscarriage, and preserve fetuses in their mother's abdomens.
It's like we're so behind the times if they were already doing that so long ago.
Absolutely. It's even claimed that Queen Victoria herself used it as pain relief during the height of the British Empire. I have actually heard that before.
Wow.
And then, so I'm sort of on board with you to this point, right? I'm like, cool, pain relief, yes, okay, all of that sort of stuff. I understand how that would work. Then we get into the little bit of a weird thing where they then talk to a sex educator based in thing, and she's talking about she often tells people to use weed to boost sexual intimacy. So she advises clients to try using weed to get a little bit high, or really high, if they can handle it, as well as rubbing it into their privates to help sex become more pleasurable. I don't really understand that, because surely if it's an analgesic, it's some kind of, pain relief or pain numbing. It's hardly going to make things more pleasurable, but
also, is that the first stopgap you use with it's hard to talk about this without getting, graphic, but is that really the first stopgap that you should have if you're having these problems?
Yeah, I
especially for an inexperienced, what sounds like an inexperienced couple, is that really the first thing you go to when you?
Yeah. So I think I mean, I can't say it's something that I'm down for trying. Being like, you know what, I'm gonna go get some marijuana suppositories, to make sex more pleasurable. I think it's a really weird go-to. I can understand if it's trauma or if it's
absolutely. I understand trying to enhance your sex life in whatever way, and maybe it'll help with confidence levels or something like that. But it's only a temporary solution.
I agree.
You can't use this every time. You know, so maybe it'll help provide or ease some nerves or something or something like that. But unless it's for pain or trauma or something, it's a temporary solution.
Look, and I completely agree in here with the whole. I think for pain and trauma and things like that, I think okay, great, and again, you know, that's the whole point behind legalizing medical, you know, marijuana use and things like that. I don't think it's to increase sexual pleasure. Like, no. You know, I think that's. I think it's a bizarre thing, and I think as you mentioned before, I think that it's probably not your first stop. For like, like being like, okay, you know, maybe...
Are we just being ignorant, though? Are we just being really... Because it's another thing. Like, maybe we're just really out of touch with what... I don't know. Maybe we are. I don't know. I feel like... I do feel, though, if there's one thing I do know, that is a temporary solution. And if it helps bridge the gap and then finally, you know... then that's great.
Yeah. But good Uncanny Valley fodder, because I thought, you know, it's just
great.
Weird
that's a good
sort
thing.
of...
And it's actually a good thing to think about. And I'd actually be interested... Oh, I'm probably opening a can of
Interested to know what you think. Leave a comment.
I think anything that's going to help people get through pain or trauma to experience something that's very human and shouldn't be... shouldn't be looked down on and
absolutely
dirty or disgusting. I think that's great, and I think if it's actually really heartwarming to hear people saying it's the first time in a long time they haven't felt pain.
Again,
fantastic,
and especially if it helps with things like endometriosis, which is cripples people, like you know, it cripples people in terms of pain for long periods of time. If it helps with that sort of stuff, absolutely.
New Zealand, you need to catch up when it comes to medicinal marijuana.
Okay, so second article. This is a little bit funnier than the last one. So this one
bit like I was walking on eggshells.
So this one's from Reddit, so you know it's going to be good. So bride says pregnant bridesmaid ruined her wedding and owes her £30,000 for a do-over. Okay,
I can't wait to hear this.
So a bride has revealed she thinks her bridesmaid should repay her for upstaging her and ruining her wedding. Over the last few months, we've heard a lot of stories about brides feeling threatened by their pregnant friends in the run-up to their wedding. One bridezilla even recently went as far as to tell her pal to have an abortion before the big day so that things would run more smoothly. That is insane.
Cut that person out of your
life immediately. But the story you're about to hear is something else.
I mean,
seriously.
Was that the best choice of words?
Yeah, I know. That's terrible. However... An unnamed woman has claimed her heavily pregnant bridesmaid upstaged her at the wedding before ruining the ceremony and helped to out her brother as gay. It's a lot to take in.
Wait, what? Have I missed a few steps?
No, we're getting there. The woman who goes by the username Ignored Bride on Reddit revealed, so you know it's going to be good. Yeah. Revealed in a post on the Reddit Am I the Asshole forum. Right? Yeah. Which is always great. If you've got a few spare minutes, go and check out the Am I an Asshole subreddit. It's very funny. She starts by telling her fellow users that she's been married for 1.5 months and the big day took a whopping 3 years to plan. So planning for 3 years. Everything was going well with the wedding planning until one of her bridesmaids discovered she wasn't going to be getting a +1. 3 years before the wedding. She explained we had 6 people on each side of the bridal party, so already a big bridal party. Yeah. When I got engaged, most of the bridesmaids were single, including Anna, the star of the story.
So this was 3 years earlier.
3 years earlier. I just wanted to give the 2 partnered bridesmaids +1s. Anna seemed offended by this because my wedding was then years off. So
potentially couldn't invite...
Anything could happen in 3 years, yeah.
Yep, I'm already on the bridesmaids.
Eventually, she got pushed by her mother to give them all a +1. Which I think is kind of fair enough. Like, if you're going to give one of your bridesmaids +1s, you kind of have to give all of them +1. You know.
Nice one, Mum.
Good one, Mum. Anna then got married 4 months before my wedding, at 2 months pregnant. She brought her new husband as a +1, and convinced one of the other bridesmaids to take her friend as her +1, when she knew we didn't like him. Okay?
Oh, okay.
But this is the tip of the iceberg. She continues, Anna was hugely pregnant and didn't refrain from showing it off. We're both fairly young, 25, and in my husband's culture, getting pregnant before your late 20s or early 30s, married or not, is basically teenage pregnancy and draws attention. it's not. If you're 25, it's not teenage pregnancy. The woman claims that all anyone could talk about during their wedding was Anna's pregnancy and her electric personality, which left the bride feeling upstaged. When Anna and her husband got up to dance, all eyes were on them. Anna's friend ended up hooking up with my brother, outing him as gay and causing a huge scandal. She wrote, I ended up leaving midway through the reception in tears and didn't attend the next morning's brunch.
Now, she left in tears because she didn't know her own brother was gay?
No, that was just the tip of the iceberg. It's because everybody else was looking at Anna and her husband.
I'm talking straight here.
Yeah.
She was upset because her own boyfriend didn't confide in her. I wonder why that was.
Yeah.
She sounds so pleasant and understanding.
That's right. I can't even look at the pictures without crying and desperately wanting a do-over. She goes on to reveal that the big day cost over £30,000 and she feels like Anna owes her another wedding for what she did.
£30,000.
I'm not a bridezilla, she added. But this was beyond the pale. It felt like a celebration of Anna's marriage. I'm sorry, but I put so much planning, effort, and money into this while someone that got pregnant without a thought and married spur of the moment reaped the benefits. I honestly feel like Anna owes me a wedding and did all of this for revenge for me offending her years ago.
She's playing the long game here.
Yeah. More than 800 people have commented on the post, with most slamming the bride. And I won't go into some of the comments because they certainly do slam the bride.
Yeah.
But I just sit there and I go, okay, so this woman wants a do-over because she obviously didn't know her brother was gay, right?
And why would he not tell her? She sounds so understanding.
She sounds very understanding.
Yeah.
She's offended because her bridesmaid, who, let's face it, is probably somebody, well, you'd imagine somebody reasonably close to her, got pregnant and brought her husband to the wedding.
Yeah.
That's
yeah.
Okay, right?
Yeah.
And then she was really upset about everybody talking about her teenage pregnancy, in quotations,
25.
At 25, to her husband. And then, and then gets offended because everybody was talking about them, and when they were on the dance floor, everyone looked at them, and she had an electric personality. Well, it sounds like
she's just not a bitch.
Yeah, it sounds like if, you're being upstaged by other people's electric personalities, you don't have much of a personality of your own.
Yeah, that's right.
It just cracks me up.
The kind of person to have these problems is probably not very pleasant, and it's no surprise that she was upstaged.
Yeah.
Because it sounds like she's really awful.
But do you think she was actually upstaged?
No.
Or
no.
It's in her head that everybody else was, looking at, her bridesmaid and stuff like that and not at her. Like she had this ideal in her head after 3 years of planning, like what this day was going to be like and, all of that sort of stuff. And look, having been married before, I can tell you that the day in question is so different than what you think it's going to be.
Yeah.
Regardless of how you plan it or anything else like that, it's so not what you think the day's going to be like. And if you're already insecure to start off with, about that sort of stuff, you're going to feel she's obviously has a problem with this girl Anna before we've even started, and which begs the question then, if you have such a problem, why put her in your bridal party?
That's right.
Or if she got married months before your wedding, turn around and go, hey, look, I prefer if you didn't come. Or if it's really going to be that much of an issue. But I love how she's like, no, you now owe me £30,000 to redo my wedding because.
Also,
and I'm assuming
a wedding for it to cost, NZD like
$70,000. That's a lot. That's a lot of money. That's a big wedding.
It's a huge wedding.
Yeah.
Her husband sounds great. Her husband. It sounds like they're made for each other.
Yeah.
Him saying basically a teenage wedding of
in her husband's culture. I'd be interested to know what her husband's culture is. They consider you in your early 20s to be basically a teenage,
They sound perfect for each other.
Teenage
how judgmental and awful they are.
Just the whole thing I think is so bizarre.
It is.
And I understand, maybe it didn't come off in the way that she thought it was going to come off in, but being like,
congratulations, that's life. Get used to it. You can plan things however you like, but what makes life really interesting is that they take unexpected turns, and you've just got to roll with it.
But I'm assuming also, though, that if Anna ends up paying her this £30,000, she's not going to be invited to this do-over wedding. She'll be like, you're not coming to this do-over wedding because, you upstaged me the last time we were there. Like, I'm just like, it's just such a bizarre story. I'm like, why are you... Strange. Like, you manufactured this whole thing in your head, and now you're so upset about it that you didn't even enjoy your own wedding day. Like, that's it's so dumb. It's so dumb. If you let somebody else affect you in that kind of way, it's just so dumb.
How dare she had no problem with showing that she was pregnant. What did you want her to do?
Strap it down so it doesn't look like she's at that point 6 months pregnant.
Like,
so
what
what
do you expect her to do?
And
presumably everyone there already knows she's pregnant. So like they're probably
married.
And married. Like they're over the fact. Like, oh yeah, she's pregnant.
Yeah,
like, we know. Like it's not like she came out and announced she was pregnant.
Yeah. That's right.
Which would have been
or did like you hear horror stories about people doing things like proposing to other people in people's weddings,
or wearing a white dress, or something,
or like doing something that that's really horrific on somebody else's wedding day. Like that's really like trying
that
to
are blatantly upstaging.
Yeah, that's right. This is just she danced at our wedding and it was pregnant. How dare she dance at a wedding and be pregnant?
Right. How dare other people be happy?
Yeah, and have like an electric personality, so people wanted to talk to her.
Did she want her to be miserable and make the day worse for the guests?
But that's the other thing too, isn't it? Like, and at a wedding, like generally the job of the bridal party, because the bride and groom tend to be so busy doing a whole heap of stuff. Like generally the job of the bridal party is to make sure that everybody feels welcome and that everybody, that separate sort of groups of the family or guests kind of get introduced and know each other. Like, they kind of act like a social lubricant, They're the people that are out there making sure everybody's having a good time, making sure that, people are talking, there's nobody on their own, like, that sort of stuff. And so you kind of need those people at a wedding. It sounds like she was doing the job that she was kind of supposed to be there to do, which is to like talk to lots of people.
Like she was being a good friend.
Yeah, absolutely. So that everybody's having a good time. And this woman's just like, no, you upstaged me. You now owe me £30,000.
Well, at least this woman now knows who to cut out of their life. Like she can just go.
Yeah. Can you imagine? Though receiving that phone call or that email from your friend after their wedding, being like, look, I really feel like you owe me a do-over wedding because, you upstaged me by, being pregnant.
And you mentioned, did she actually ask you to get an abortion?
No, that was another one. Like, who asked one of her bridesmaids to get an abortion because she just wanted the day to go smoothly and stuff like that. I mean, how self-centered do you have to be to be like?
I mean, that's whole nother levels of.
But I mean, like, I don't understand this whole bridezilla thing, right? Because like, theoretically, a wedding is about you and your partner and your friends and family getting together to celebrate, the fact that you're getting married and for everyone to have a good time and to hang out with each other and surely, with your friends and stuff, like you're equally happy for them. Like, life exists outside of this one day. Like this one day. I don't understand why people sort of, to a certain extent, want it to be all about them. Like it's quite uncomfortable, I think, when everything's all about you. And
absolutely,
like if you think about your own relationships, and you think about the fact that there's no time really in a relationship where you are the sole focus of everybody's attention. So like, like in your day-to-day lives, you're not like having everybody look at you and everybody comment on like what you're wearing and what you're doing and look, aren't they sweet together, like, or whatever, right? Passing, I suppose, for want of a better term, judgment on your relationship that you get on your wedding day. And it's quite a weird experience, like for everybody to be so focused on you, and it's kind of like, to a certain extent, you almost want some other people to kind of like give you a moment to just like go, okay, I don't want everybody sort of looking at me all the time and doing something. Bizarre. Anyway, so that's our Uncanny Valley for this week.
Yes.
So interesting and weird stories. Valley. It was very uncanny. So it was. I thought I would go for, because there wasn't that many sort of funny stories. I thought I'd go for strange stories this week.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're into 30-second waffle.
We are.
which is our favourite part of the podcast.
It is.
Now, I'm trying to remember who went first last week. I think it was me, I think.
Oh, was
so
it?
I think it's you this week.
Okay.
So, at least that's what we'll go with.
Cool.
We'll go back over the records, and it actually won't be.
And then producer Caroline will edit it so that...
You just so it goes the other way around.
Oh, this is a Discord question.
Excellent.
From our number one fan.
Cool. So what have they got to say? Mm-hmm.
Have we done this?
What is the question?
Why all violins should be burned?
Oh. Yes, we have done that one.
We have done
that.
Yep.
Right. Another one. I think it was something along the lines of why violas are better than violins.
Wait, if you're going first, does that mean I give you a question?
No. You're going first.
Okay.
Organisation here, I tell you.
I do that one. I just saw what it was.
Okay. Who's this one from?
This is for me.
Yeah. Yeah. For you to answer.
Don't worry, guys. It's only episode 23.
Yeah, we finally worked out how this works. Okay. Right. What's the question, Ant? Yeah.
How did I do that?
I tell you, it's going well.
Ant. This is from O'Muffins.
Okay.
Discord. Okay. Why watching Esoterica should become an obligatory part of every NZ citizen's daily routine, I'm guessing. Weekly routine.
Weekly routine. Ah.
Okay.
Here we go. This is a chance to plug the channel. A chance to, tell them why what we do is great.
Watching Esoterica weekly, where you are joined by James, producer Caroline, and myself, should become obligatory for every NZ citizen, because we discuss all sorts of things that look, honestly, they're I don't know. What is the value?
I love how you got.
What is the value?
I love that.
Value.
That's the question that tripped you up. Is why you should watch our channel?
Why you should watch our channel? I mean, short of being like we're just a bunch of guys who just discuss topics every week and offer some different perspective. Like, there's no real reason why it should be obligatory. I would be so annoyed to be forced to watch a weekly podcast.
Yeah,
that
you
would
had
annoy
to
me.
if it was actually an obligation.
That would absolutely get me. It'd drive me crazy.
Yeah,
I couldn't do it. You've got me there. You stumped me. That was a very good
amazing
question. Should be obligatory because
we're amazing. That's why, because hard scientific fact.
We call out the New Zealand media, which more people should do.
Actually, we haven't done that in a while. I need to find another stuff article or something like that for us to do. Oh my god. I actually thought, I bet this is from you, I actually thought that I was actually doing the same question for you.
Yeah. Oh, really?
Yes. DC films are better than Marvel's. Okay. DC's films are better than Marvel's. I'm going to have to think about this for a bit. Let's think about this. DC's films are better than Marvel's because inherently, to a large extent, DC actually owns much bigger and better properties than Marvel. So films, characters like Superman and Batman and Wonder Woman are phenomenal properties. If you look at the Christopher Nolan Batmans, phenomenal. Still the best treatment, I think, pretty much of a superhero out. Wonder Woman, amazing. Best female-led superhero film of all time. Yep. Hands down.
No.
Yep.
Nah.
Hands down.
Captain Marvel's better.
You
haven't seen Captain Marvel?
No, I haven't. I told you, scientific fact. The reason that Ant asked me this question is because we were literally having a conversation just before about how Marvel films are so much better than the DC universe, for a multitude of reasons. And I'm not shitting on DC. I just think that they haven't made some of the smartest choices with some of their phenomenal properties. Because I do agree, or I do believe that Superman, Wonder Woman, Batman. Batman has one of the best rogues galleries I think of all time. And Christopher Nolan did a great job with Batman. That sort of stuff. It's just they haven't really been able to get it together in the same way that Marvel has. And if you went back, like before all of these films started, and you went, who's going to have the better cinematic output? And you went, we're thinking of using like Iron Man and Thor and stuff like that. People would have gone. Yeah. They're kind of. I'm not going to say like. But even by Marvel were kind of not B-list kind of superheroes, but they weren't like the big franchise players. They weren't like X-Men. What do you call it? Fantastic Four. All of that kind of stuff. Whereas people would have gone Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman. They're like phenomenal properties. Like absolutely. It's just DC haven't really done anything good with them. No. Right. Okay. These are getting harder and harder.
They are getting really hard.
This is harder and harder to justify.
This is James.
Yeah, this is from me. So, what is it? Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. BioShock Infinite is the best in the Shock series. So that includes System Shock and BioShock. Which they've just announced James told me that System Shock is getting a reboot. Yay!
Yeah, remake and System Shock 3, 2020.
BioShock Infinite is the best in the series because it's such a huge departure in the best way possible, and they pull it off flawlessly. So, Floating City, Columbia, and just it opens up the world so much because you had the claustrophobia of the original BioShock series. It opens it up. You have the confusion of the age, the era being mixed into there with different songs being sung at you all the time. But BioShock Infinite is the perfect revolutionary tale that expands the BioShock universe in the most perfect way possible.
Boom. Well done.
It was really hard.
It is a hard
fit
one.
in how much you need to say about it because I could talk actually a long time about Infinite and why I really love it. There's problems. There's definitely problems with it. It was very ambitious.
Like, I don't dislike Infinite. I think that, what do you call it? It was a departure. It was a departure from the System Shock games and from BioShock games.
But it had to be
before that. I agree, and it brought in the idea of the sort of multiple, the multiverse and all of that sort of idea, so you could sort of tie all of that stuff together. I just think it was a little bit ambitious for what it ended up being. Like it sort of didn't come together in the same way that the BioShock or the System Shock games did. Like it didn't quite feel as cohesive, and it felt like there was too many big ideas that they kind of tried to cram in, and it just ended up feeling a bit slapdash. Yeah. And the whole idea of it, it sort of became a cover-based shooter rather than like sort of, where you'd enter rooms and go,
you would enter because you would see the
low walls and stuff, and you were like, okay, there's going to be a firefight in here. And you're kind of like, okay, this is a boss area, and like
and the rails because it's on the rails.
So it was sort of great ideas, but just not quite executed as well as the other stuff. I didn't dislike Infinite, but I certainly think it was probably the weakest in the
I really enjoyed it
in the genre. Right, okay, right, last one for me.
Yes.
Okay. These are getting really hard.
I can't remember what I gave you. Yeah.
Oh my god. Justify Minecraft is the perfect gaming experience. Okay. Justifying Minecraft. We all know how I feel about
this
Minecraft.
One's for you, the fans.
Minecraft is the perfect gaming experience as long as you define what you mean by a gaming experience. So, Minecraft is a great solo game where if what you want in a game is to build stuff. So if you're really creative and you sort of want to build houses, rooms, that sort of thing, spend hours digging tunnels and that sort of stuff, Minecraft is the perfect gaming experience for the solo gamer who doesn't want a story, graphics, or anything of any meaning. There you go. That's it. That's my justification of Minecraft being the perfect gaming experience. No, I don't like the thing I have with Minecraft is I actually don't have a hatred for Minecraft. I don't think Minecraft is horrible. I don't think it's that sort of stuff. I certainly
indifferent to it.
I certainly enjoyed the time that we spent on the server and stuff like that, which I think was awesome. But it sort of contains a lot of things that don't really appeal to me in gaming. Yeah. So building, mining for resources, you know, that sort of stuff doesn't hugely appeal to me. Like I have no bones about saying that generally what I look for in a game is an immersive single player storyline that's narrative driven. Hence the reason, like, some of my favorite games of all time, the System Shock and BioShock games, things like Shadow of Memories, the Final Fantasy series, you know, very, very heavy, God of War, those sorts of stuff. Very, very narrative focused single player games that don't rely on multiplayer, not a huge amount of like base building. I like take Fallout 4 for example. I never spent any time building anything in settlements outside of what I had to do to progress the story, because I'm like, I don't, and like I have appreciation for it. Like, you go on and you look at some of the stuff in Fallout 4, you look at some of the stuff in Minecraft, and some of the stuff that people build is like, you're like, that's phenomenal. Like, you know, I can appreciate, like, I'm like, you know, how amazing it is and how much work people put into that sort of stuff. It's just I have no desire to do it. I have no desire to sit there and build stuff.
No, fair enough.
You know.
So you won't be getting the new PS4 game Dreams, which is coming out.
No, although like it sounds amazing. It sounds amazing, and it sounds so like good.
I'm looking forward to getting it.
Yeah, it could be
there's a
really
game
cool.
I specifically want to make for it.
Yeah.
I've actually got a game idea that I've had for a long time.
Very
now
cool.
That I want to make for it.
Very cool.
It's going to take a long time though.
But those sorts of things, like I'm on board with stuff like that. I think it's really cool, and I think it's a really great way of people expressing their creativity and you know, that sort of stuff, and doing this stuff. It just isn't something.
It's not for everyone.
Hugely appeals. It's not. But again, I don't hate it. It's just I'm relatively ambivalent to it. I'm just sort of kind of I kept thinking oblivious, and it's not oblivious, but I'm relatively ambivalent to it. I'm just like, okay, like it's cool if that's what you want to do. Go nuts, like you know. Sweet. Cool. All right, so that brings us to the end of our podcast.
To the end of the 23rd episode.
23rd. We've almost got to the point where somebody could sit down and do a 24-hour, like, on the trot, back to back. Like,
actually, I think we already are, because every episode's a little bit more than an hour.
Yeah, that's right. So
we already could. They
could do like a 24-hour viewing marathon.
Maybe that should be a new torture method in Guantanamo Bay.
Maybe we could. Maybe we could do a 24-hour stream of us watching all of our podcast episodes back again.
Oh. It'll be like
how painful would that be?
Shia LaBeouf when he watched all of his films. That was amazing, by the way. I thought that was so cool.
Yeah, we
did. watching all of his films in that live stream.
Yeah, we could do that, and it would be really weird because it would be quite hard to distinguish, like, whether we're talking the podcast or whether we're talking like in real time. But so there we are, lots of content. Come and join us on Twitch, finishing off Alien Isolation, and we'll be looking for some new games to start playing soon.
Thank you, by the way, we're affiliated now.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you for everybody that jumped on and that sort of stuff. And please subscribe, helps us out a lot. But of course, you don't have to. Like, it's purely optional.
Only if you want to.
All of our content will be free, always.
Yep.
So we'll never stick stuff behind paywalls. So come along, join us on Twitch, have a chat. We like to see you there. We like to, freak you out with aliens biting faces off and, that sort of stuff. So come along and see us. Yeah. So thank you very much. We will see you again next week.